1521, they arrived at Highland 3 miles away, 100 leguas from the Samal Island in the Troni archipelago. The following day, the Captain General wished to land on a different island that lay to the right aforementioned island to be more secure, obtain water, and to have some rest. He killed a sow for them and set up 2 tents for the sick on the shore. Monday afternoon, they saw a boat with men in it. The Captain General ordered that no one should move or say a word without his permission. When those men reached the shore, their chief went immediately to the Captain General, giving signs of joy because of their arrival. The Captain General, seeing that they were reasonable men, ordered food to be set before them, and gave them red caps, mirrors, combs, bells, ivory, moccasin, and other things. When they saw the captain's courtesy, they presented the fish, a jar of palm wine, which they called rioraka, pigs more than 1 falmo and other which were smaller and more delicate, and 2 coconuts. They had nothing else then but made a sign with their hands that they would bring rice and coconuts and many others articles of food within 4 days. They get a wine in the following manner. They bore a hole into the heart of the said farm at the top called palmito, which distills a liquor which resembles white must. That liquor is sweet but somewhat tart, and in cans as thick as the leg and thicker. Under that shell there is a white narrowy substance, 1 finger in thickness, which they eat fresh with meat and fish as they do bread, and it has taste resembling the almond. It could be dried and made into bread. Certain filaments are found in the husk, where is the made cord for binding together the ropes. Under that husk there is a hard shell much thicker than the shell of walnut, which they burn and make therefrom a powder that is useful to them. There is a clear sweet water in the middle of a narrowy substance, which is very refreshing. When that water stands for a while after having been collected, it congeals and becomes like an apple. When the natives wish to make oil, they take that coconut and allow the narrowy substance and the water to putrefy, then they boil it and it becomes oil like butter. When they wish to make vinegar, they allow only the water to putrefy and then place it in the sun, and the vinegar results like that made from white wine. Milk can also made from it, for they made some. They scrap the narrowy substance and then mix the scraping with its own water, which they strain through a cloth, and so obtain milk like goat's milk. Those farms resemble date palms, but although not smooth, they are less knotty than the latter. A family can be supported on 2 trees by utilizing them week about for the wine, for if they did otherwise, the trees would dry up. They last a century. Those people became very familiar with them. They told many things, their names, and those of some of the islands that could be seen from that place. Their own island was called Suluan, and it's not very large. They took the great pleasure with them, for they were very pleasant and conversable. In order to show them greater honor, the Captain General took them to his ship and showed them all his merchandise, cloves, cinnamon, pepper, ginger, nutmeg, mace, gold, and all of the things in the ship. He had some mortars fired for them, whereat they exhibited great fear, and tried to jump out of the ship. They made signs to us that above said articles grew in that place where they were going. When they were about to retire, they took their leave very gracefully and neatly, saying that they would return according to their promise. At noon Friday, March 22, those men came as they had promised, 2 boats with coconuts, with orange, a jar of palm wine, and a cock, in order to show us that there were falls in that district. They exhibited great signs of pleasure at seeing us. We purchased all their articles from them. Their senior was an old man who was painted. He wore 2 gold earrings in his ears, and others many gold armlets on their hands, and kerchiefs about their heads. We stayed there 1 week, and during that time our captain went ashore daily to visit the sick, and every morning gave them coconut water from his own hand, which comforted them greatly. They are people living near the island who have holes in the ears so large that they can pass their hand through them. Those people are Capri, that is to say, heathen. They go naked with a cloth woven from the bark of a tree about their freebies, except some of the chiefs who wear cotton cloth embroidered with silk at the ends by means of a needle. They are dark, fat, and fainted. They anoint themselves with coconut and with Venice oil as a protection against sun and wind. They have very black hair that falls to the waist and use daggers, knives, and spears ornamented with gold, large shields, fascines, javelins, fishing nets, and resemble Risali, and their boats are like ours. On the afternoon of Holy Monday, the day of Our Lady, March 25, while they were on the point of making anchor, he went to the side of the ship to fish, and putting his feet upon a yard, leading down into the storeroom they sleep, for it was rainy, and consequently he fell into the sea, so that no one saw him. When he was all but under, his left hand happened to catch hold of the blue garnet of the mainsail, which was dangling in the water. He held on tightly and began to cry out so lustily that he was rescued by a small boat. He was aided, not, he believed indeed, through the merits, but through the mercy of the font of charity. The same day, we shaped our course toward the west-southeast between the four small islands, namely Senalo, Huingnan, Ibusan, and Abernayan. On Thursday morning, March 28, we had seen afar on an island the night before we anchored near it. They saw a small boat which the natives call Boloto, with 8 men in it approaching the flagship. A slave belonging to the Captain General, who was a native of Sumatra, which was formerly called Traprobana, spoke to them. They immediately understood him, came alongside the ship, unwilling to enter but taking a position of some little distance. The captain, seeing that they would not trust them, threw them out a red cap and other things tied to a bit of wood. They received them very gladly and went away quickly to advise their king. About 2 hours later, they saw 2 balanghay coming. They are a large boat and so called by those people. They were full of men, and their king was in the larger of balanghay, being seated under an awning mast. When the king came the near flagship, the slave spoke to him. The king understood him, for in those districts the kings know more language than the other people. He ordered some of his men to enter the ships, but he always remained in his balanghay at some little distance from the ship until his own men returned, and as soon as they returned he departed. The Captain General showed great honor to the men who entered the ship, and gave them some presents, for which the king wished before his departure to give the captain a large bar of gold and a basket full of ginger. The latter, however, thanked the king heartily but would not accept it. In the afternoon, we went in the ships near the dwelling of the kings.